background will also find it interesting, but it may be a little tough, but doesn't matter, you can easily follow.
So, sir, we have pretty much. I think we can just start with the
All
intro.
right, thank you. I'll start with an home. All right, friends, this is a very interesting question. Who am I? The most familiar and intimate and intensive experience is about yourself. Unfortunately, we have become so much extrovert, but we forgot about ourselves. There's a beautiful song in American slang. I went to paradise, but for never been to me. We are so much extroversial that we don't go into ourselves and understand who we are or what is that I which we feel. Now, the first point is nobody can say that the self or himself or herself does not exist, that the I doesn't exist. Can I say I don't exist? If you say you don't exist, then the question arises, who is saying that statement? So, therefore, the statement I don't exist is invalid. I exist, that is for sure. If anyone objects to this, you let me know. You unmute your mic and let me know. If anybody here says that you don't exist, then there's no point in further discussion. Because I'm saying that the statement I don't exist is not valid. Because somebody who is saying it obviously means he exists. So that is Sat, the truth. Then the next question arises, if you exist, who are you? If you say I am an IIT alumnus or I am Dr. So and so, I am so and so, I am so and so, all those are attributes of yourself. Suppose you say you are CSR Prabhu. CSR Prabhu is just a name. It is not myself because many of my classmates call me with a different name. And my mother calls me with a different name. My guru calls me with a different name. So I am not a name. Therefore, first thing, I exist. I cannot say I don't exist. Second thing is, I have many attributes. Like I have a name, I have a designation, I have a, address, I have a Aadhaar number, and so on and so forth. But all those things are not me. I am not Aadhaar number. I am not designation because my designations are continuously changing. I was Director General 6 years back. Today I am Director, Professor. Tomorrow I may be something. Before that I was something else. And if you say you are father, then you are also a son, the opposite of father. If you say you are husband, you are also son or you are a brother. Depends on the relative position. And here, all these are only add-on attributes or subtract attributes. They are not permanent characteristics of yourself. So the question, who am I? The answer is I exist and I have many attributes, but I am not all those attributes. For example, if you're driving a car, you are a driver. If the police looks at you, he says you are a driver, show me your driving license. You have to admit that you are a driver, but you can't tell him, look, I was Director General, I am Professor, therefore I am not a driver. I am also a driver. I am also a son. I am also a waking state, you are going through various activities and you see a whole universe of galaxies and planets and stars and so on. What happened to whole universe in deep sleep? It just disappeared into nothingness. And in dream state, you saw a different universe. And every day you see a different universe in a dream state. In every dream, there is a different universe. What happened to each one of those dream universes? The Mandukya Upanishad delves deep into this point. So there are at least three states we go through, shuttling, the waking dream and the deep sleep. And they have nothing to do with each other, please. In dream, if you tell that, see, I am giving this lecture to IIT Bombay alumni, nobody will listen to you there. You cannot tell I was director general or I was professor, I am an author. Nothing is there. It's just something different. And in deep sleep is again gone completely. Nothing is there. But you are there. You are definitely there. That's why you came back. So dream, deep sleep, and waking states are three avasthas. So the self is shuttling between the three states. The Mandukya Upanishad goes so deep into this matter. There are the different levels of waking state. He talks of some 20 odd states within waking state and different existence in dream state. Of course, the deep sleep state, prajna, it is just within yourself, pure intelligence within yourself, nothing. So balyadishvapi jagratadapi sada sarvasamanam that is what happens is when you are in
Somebody
happiest
disturbing.
state,
Somebody disturbing. Somebody speaking. I could not hear. Somebody speaking.
So that is the
can I request, sir, please mute your mics.
So Acharya Anta, he is head of the toy cluster. Plus ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಪ್ಪಳದಲ್ಲೂ
BVK Shastri garu, please mute your mic.
very large company called Acres.
Hello, is it my? Okay, I have muted it. Okay, I will again mute it.
Yeah.
Satyanarayan garu, please mute your mic.
Yeah. Shall I continue? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Now, in all these different states, deep sleep, dream, and waking state, childhood, youth, old age, and various roles and attributes and relationships, they're endless. There are almost infinite type of attributes and relationships added and subtracted, and you remain the same. You remain exactly the same. That sense of I, in quotes, just I am. That is called consciousness or awareness or chit. So existence is sat. You exist, that is for sure. And you are aware, your awareness, that is for sure, or intelligence, whatever word you use, sat chit. And ananda, because ananda is a state of bliss. Now, if you know what is bliss, it is different. You have any such pleasure activities, but happiness and bliss is something different. Like the bliss when when somebody enjoys very extraordinary music, spiritually enlightening music, you feel so blissful. Or when you got some big award, or when you got something like an extraordinary thing, you get bliss. So in that bliss there are various levels. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, they are talked of different levels of ananda. The human level and the beyond the human level, different beings, 100 times, 100 times, 100 times. Among human levels, a great emperor with all powers and all wealth and all pleasures is taken as one unit. Of course, we'll be a small fraction of that. So multiple. So that ananda, nature of ananda is in the self only. It cannot be these attributes because which are being added and subtracted. It is like a dog, which is biting a bone and getting blood out of that and thinking that the blood is coming out of the bone. Actually, the blood is coming out of the dog's mouth only. So the self itself is the cause of bliss, which you can enjoy at very rare occasions. So you are Ananda. So your existence, your consciousness, and you are Ananda. Satchidananda. You are Satchidananda. I am Satchidananda. That is for sure. Now, what about all other things? They are all other attributes, add-ons, subtractions, relationships, which cannot be identified permanently with you. They may be associated with you for a short while, like designations, names, or attributes, feelings, and so many other things. Then the pure consciousness, which is you, and the pure existence and pure bliss, Satchidananda, is your true nature. So far, so good. This is the first part of my talk. If anyone has any objection to what I talked, please raise right now. I'm going to the second part after this. So I'm saying first you exist, because whosoever says I don't exist has to prove that he doesn't exist, because he's saying he doesn't exist. That means somebody is there who says that, therefore he exists. So that is Sat. Then you are also Chit, which is pure consciousness or awareness, independent of the states, avasthas, and independent of various attributes and various existential positions and things like childhood, youth, and also designations, roles, which are continuously changing. So Satchidananda is the nature of the self. So the answer to who am I is that I am Satchidananda. Now, why is it that we are not able to experience it all the time? Because
this sorry to interrupt, but this I, does
Yes.
it have feelings?
I'm coming to that. So the
Okay.
feelings are also temporary. The feelings, like there are 10 different negative emotions, like ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. So you know the meaning of this. Ahankara is ego. Mamakara is mine, mine, mine. Then raga is attachment. Dvesha is hatred. And kama is desire. Krodha is anger, which comes when desire is not fulfilled. And lobha is greed. You all know very well all these things. We are experiencing daily so many times. And moha is craze. Mada is pride. Matsarya is jealousy. These are 10 negative emotions. Of course, fear is also there. So apart from this, we have very positive emotions like appreciation and enjoyment. Love, of course, is having different connotation. It has many different levels. A basic level of love, and which is opposite of hatred. So the opposite of these 10 are called positive emotions or Daivi Sampat. And these negative emotions are called Asuri Sampat, or the attributes of Asuri nature. The point is, all these are not permanent. They are coming and going. Therefore, they cannot be I. So my point is that sense of I, the quotes I, the feeling of I is going from one state to the other, even in these attributes and feelings. Feelings are also attributes, temporary. The question you ask is whether I am the feelings. Yes, I will have the feeling as an attribute to me. I am angry. For how long? Not for whole life. For a certain period of time. I am in love, or I love, or I am jealous, or I am greedy, only for a certain time. And I am not greed. I am not love. I am not hatred. I have that. It comes and goes. Therefore, I am not any one of these feelings. Okay. Now the question is, who am I? That is the question of the discussion. I cannot be any one of these feelings, because none of them is permanent. I am not associating or identifying myself with any one of them permanently, because I am definitely existing. I am aware. I am intelligent or conscious, and I am blissful. So Satchidananda is my nature, and so also yours. So each one of us, I'm going to the second part. Only one question was asked for the first part. I have answered it. So I'm going to the second part. Now, each one of us is that same self, Satchidananda, independently there, simultaneously there, at the same time, whether you realize it or not. Whether you are involved in anger, whether you are involved in jealousy, or whether you are involved in love, whether you are in deep sleep, or whether you are in childhood, in babyhood, you may or may not realize this fact. What we have analyzed now in 5-10 minutes, in 10 minutes we could reach a conclusion that I am Satchidananda and I exist. I am conscious and I am blissful. I can be blissful on my own, independent of each of these attributes, independent of any objects from outside, or independent of anything which affects me. Because I exist in deep sleep without any one of these. I exist in deep meditation without any one of these. So I exist, and my nature is existence, and my nature is consciousness, and my nature is bliss. So now so many Satchidananda natured Jivatmas exist, or they call souls in normal English. They all exist, and they all have these attributes of three, Satchidananda. Now the next question, the second question that arises is, how come that they are all existing simultaneously and they are existing identically, and are they connected to each other or they are independent completely? Of course, in the Vaiseshika Darshana Kanada says, Yavasthito Nana. In the practice, in the real life experience, they are multiple. Yes, they are all different. They are all multiple. And we are all identical in not having any one of those attributes, any one of those things which I talked just now, and being Satchidananda, pure consciousness, existence, and this. So when we are having identical nature, but we are independently there, there is a question that arises, as a doubt that arises. Is there any connection between all of them? Are they really independent? Because they're all identical. Now, if you take the same question for any other substance, because in Vaiseshika we have the Navadravyas, Prithvi, Apa, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, Dik, Kala, Mana, Atma, iti Dravya. Suppose you take water. There's water in your glass, water in my glass, water in your tumbler, or water in your Hussain Sagar lake, or water in Ganga river, and water in Gangotri. My question to all of you is this all water all different or same? The contaminations are changing, no doubt. But water has to be the same. If anybody has any objection, let me know. Water units are changing, and instances are changing, contaminations are changing, but basically water as a principle or as an existence is one and the same across all instances of appearance of water or instances of occurrence of water. In the same way, it is true for space. The space in this room which I am talking right now in Hyderabad, and the space in each one of your rooms in different countries, in different states, is it all different or same? You can say they are different because the space in Australia and space in India and space in America may be appearing to be different, but actually finally space is one and the same. We know that. Akasha. And similarly, every substance. So that is in computer science, we call it instance of occurrence. We have a class. We have an instance of class. So all human beings form a class, though they are different. So in the same way, all these individual jiva nature being identical, they are all appearing to be different as an instance by each one of them by itself, but they have to be the same as a principle. Because in essence, Satchidananda has to be one. Like water is one, though it appears to occur different instances of existence. So that one Satchidananda, which we can hypothesize, though we may not experience right now. So that is called Paramatma. This is Jivatma and Paramatma. Now, till now, I went from the bottom-up approach. Now I will come from top-down approach. Now, top-down is, if you take, of course, there are two types of people in this world, those who believe in God and those who don't believe in God. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or don't believe. But what I am saying is, if there is a sigma of all this together, all existence together, all consciousness together, all bliss together, Satchidananda, that is the nature of God by definition. But the instances of that in special cases, each one of us is a part of that, is an amsha of that. Mamayvamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. He says in the 15th chapter, my own amsha or part in the jiva loka is the jiva bhuta, and it is sanatana, as eternal as I am. The Ishvara says this. So mamayvamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana Manasasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. It attracts the 5 sensory principles and the mind from nature. It attracts that and bring it into itself and takes birth. Shariram yada avapnoti yacha apyut kriyamati ishvara. When it acquires a body which is taking birth, and when it leaves the body which is exiting the body or death, it carries these senses and the mind. And therefore the mind has the memories and vasanas and karma and all this to the next life. That's what the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter says. I'm not asking you to believe it or reject it. That's what it says. So my point is that though the jiva is same, having same attributes as Ishvara, is not Ishvara, because you cannot perform all the functions of Ishvara. Anugraha, Tirodhana, and so on, and Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, everything you cannot perform. You just exist, that's all. But you are part of Ishvara. So this awareness is described as Dvaita Siddhanta, Visishta Dvaita Siddhanta, and Advaita Siddhanta in different perspectives. Many other Siddhantas, there are about 25 Siddhantas. Please mute your mic, all of you. There are about 25 Siddhantas, all give different interpretation of the same phenomenon, of the relationship between the individual and the cosmic existence, Satchidananda. Now we'll look at the Gita 6th chapter, which is talking about a state of meditation. When it explains how to perform meditation, and Yunjannevam sada atmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma samsparshamityam atyantam sukhamasnute. Gradually, what is meditation? Observing yourself, calming your mind, yogas chittavritti nirodhaha tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So when the mind is totally calmed, you are in yourself. Even deep sleep is not exactly yourself state, though it is the closest. In dream also you are not in yourself. In waking state definitely you are not in yourself. In the what is called Turiya, or what Mandukya Upanishad says Turiya and Turiya Atita, you are in yourself. There are two interpretations for this Turiya, which is either you are in a fourth state, which is the state of self, which is Samadhi, or it proves that even though practically there is no fourth state for most of the people, the realization that you are not these three states, you are only passing through these three states, which we have just now discussed and concluded. That shows that you are the fourth, you are not these three. So that is Turiya and Turiya Atita. Now, in the 6th chapter, he talks of meditation. He says, Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha. Having performed yoga, Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha. Sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamasmrite. He reaches the contact of Brahman or God or Ishvara. Of course, Ishvara is a lesser version of Brahman. We have the Nirguna Brahman, which is special, whose special case is Saguna Brahman, whose special case is Upasya Brahman, and whose special case is Ishvara. And another special case of an Ishvara is a Devata. It could be any Devata. And we all know the Ishta Devatas, merges into Ishvara, Ishvara merges into Saguna Brahman, Saguna Brahman merges into Nirguna Brahman, which is Om. Now, what he says is by the yoga process, Yunjan Nevam Sada Atmanam Yogi Vigata Kalmashaha Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham Atyantam Sukhamasnute. So finally the yogi reaches a contact with Brahman, which is above Ishvara, and Atyantam Sukham, that is highest happiness, or Satchidananda, Ananda, highest Ananda, Brahmananda it is called. Now, the next sloka is Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani. At that stage, after that stage, he realizes himself among all and all in himself. Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshyate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshinaha. And Yo Mam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvancha Mai Pashyati Tasyaham Na Pranashyami Sachamena Pranashyami. While seeing himself in everything and everyone in himself, it automatically means he sees God, he experiences God. That is me, he says, Krishna says, in everyone and everything and in himself as one. That means Ishvara, Jiva, and all other Jivas, that is all Satchidanandas and Ishvara, Satchidananda, Mega Satchidananda, capital S self, all are one. That is the total oneness. Now this oneness, That this clearly brought out in many, many statements in the Upanishads. Ayam Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma. Tattvamasi. Aham Brahmasmi.
ஆயிடுச்சு அம்மா அது வேலை.
Just put a flag. The flag of Hungary says that Aham Brahmasmi. It is not to be felt shy. It is a declaration. So all these statements are indicating the oneness of Ishvara with Jiva and all Jivas and the entire creation as one. Now the question arises, why is it that we are not able to experience it all the time? Because we don't know, we get lost into our different attributes, different activities, different avasthas, different emotions, different feelings. So if you calm your mind down and if you are free from all such conditionings, then you are in yourself. And when you are in yourself, you can experience these different states. And finally, your oneness with Ishvara and the whole universe. And that is moksha. Moksha means liberation. I think you can
Gaurav,
participants
Gaurav.
so that we don't hear the noise except the speaker.
ఎవరో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు వెనకాతల నుంచి.
So now I have taken you through different steps, and the logic in each of these steps is interpreted by Adi Shankaracharya as his commentary in the Upanishads, and slightly differently by Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya and various other acharyas like Vallabhacharya. There are 25 Siddhantas. Of course, the Advaita Siddhanta became most prevalent and popular. And now finally, all of them are relatively true at particular perspective level. And all of them may not be 100% true in all perspectives, in all situations or attributes. So this is the overall answer to the question, who am I? So the Jnana Yoga method to assert yourself is I am not the body, I am not the mind, naham deho, nendriyani antarangam, nahankara pranavargo, na buddhi, dana pratyakshetra vittadi dura sakshi, nitya pratyakatma shivoham. I am Shiva, I am not Jiva. And surprisingly, in Tamil language, Ja and Shar same. If you write that letter, you can read it as Jiva or you can read it as Shiva. So that means Jiva and Shiva are actually one and the same. But by not realizing so, you think you are Jiva. And for this, there's a very good story in the Vedanta. There's a king who went to forest for hunting with his son and his army. And they hunted all day and returned back in the night. And the son was missing. The son was a small boy. He was missing. So they tried a lot, but they couldn't locate him. So they came back giving up. So after a long time, 30 years, they found a man in the forest who has certain identification marks of the same child who was lost. So finally, they did all kinds of tests and confirmed that he's the same fellow. So when they tell him, look, man, you are actually the king, because by then the king became very old. He's going to die any minute and he wants to hand over the kingdom to this fellow. So they tell him, look, you are the king. He says, no, I am not the king. I am a tribal. I am there in the forest. So this question arises, when will he become the king? He's already the king. So the same thing, Jiva is already Shiva, but he doesn't know that he's Shiva, and he doesn't want to accept that he's Shiva. He says, I am only Jiva. And when will he become Shiva? Because he already is Shiva. Jan Shar same. So only when he accepts, and that is called realization. That is called self-realization. That's also called God realization. Both are one and the same. Because now there's a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. Now I told you the bottom-up approach. The top-down approach is you pray to say Vishnu, Narayana or Shiva. Then you say, okay, oh Narayana, who you are there everywhere. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Vyavasthitaha. I am the self of all, he says. And in the Mantra Pushpam or Narayana Suktam, this, Sahasra Sirsham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam Vishwata Paraman Nityam Vishwam Narayanagam Hari. So he explains whole universe as Vishnu. Vishwameva Parshatat Vishwam Abhaya Patim Vishwasyatmeshwaragam Shashvatagam Shivam Achyutam Narayanam Mahajneyam Vishwatmanam Parayanam. Vishwatma, the self of the universe. Narayana Paro Jyotihi is the transcendental light. Atma Narayana Paraha. This self is Narayana. Narayana Param Brahma. The top down is Brahman. Tattvam Narayana. Narayana is Brahman. Narayana Paro Dhyata. The meditation is also on Tattvam Dhyata Narayana Para. Yaccha Kinchit Jagat Sarvam Drishyate Shruyate Piva. Antarbahishya Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthita. Whatever you see or cannot see or think or cannot think, whatever exists in this universe is fully pervaded by Narayana. The word Vishnu itself means who is all pervading. So this is a top-down approach. That means all individual souls, all of us, are just nothing but Narayana's own manifestations. Infinite number of forms. In the Vishwarupa, in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he showed the universal form. Because he's not just one person, Krishna. He shows his universe, whole universe. Vishwam Vishnu in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Who is Vishnu? Vishwam Vishnu. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Bhutakrit Bhutakrit Bhava Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavana. Bhutatma Paramatma cha Muktanam Paramagati Avaya Purusha Sakshi Kshetrajno Aksharevacha. Sakshi, the consciousness. Avyayaha, indestructible. Purushaha, the Purusha and Prakriti of Sankhya framework. The nature which you see has two parts, the manifest and the unmanifest. What you see as manifest is continuously changing. It is made up of Prithvi, Apa, Vayu, all these different bhutas and so on. This behind it is unmanifest. That is called Purusha. The Ardhanarishwara concept is Shiva and Shakti are one and the same, half this way, half that way. So without Shiva, there is no Shakti. Without Shakti, there is no Shiva. Like without Radha, there is no Krishna. Without Krishna, so manifest and unmanifest. That's same. So this is the top-down approach. When you take the top-down approach, you accept God is everything and God created universe and he entered into it. Tat srishtva tadeva anupravishan. If you take a stand like some people do, God is only a creator, he didn't enter. Then what happened to the universe then? It's independent of God. Then you have to say universe and God are parallel existent independently. It's not possible. So manifestation of the Lord is the universe. That he made it very clear in many Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam and so on. So the top-down approach is the approach of religion. The bottom-up approach is the approach of self-analysis and yoga and meditation. They both converge at appropriate point because which is realization. So this process of yoga or the process of elevation of the individual consciousness into the cosmic consciousness, Yogena Atma Darshanam. The definition of yoga is Jiva Atma Paramatma Samyoga Eva Yoga. So the joining of the Samyoga of Jivatma and the Paramatma, both have Atma common. So that joining is realization, and that's what happens in the process of yoga. It can be Bhakti Yoga, it can be Raja Yoga, it can be Jnana Yoga, it can be Karma Yoga. All together also are partly combinations also. It doesn't matter. That process of unconditioning, I will finally close with 4 sentences of my own, which summarize the entire philosophical. The first sentence is, all experience of reality, those who want to note down can note down and analyze and interact with me later also. All experience of reality, in quotes, reality is in quotes, is a conditioning of the consciousness. What is reality? Suppose I ask you what is reality, you will give your version of reality. If I ask an ant what is reality, the ant will give it. Each one of us are conditioned in different ways. Suppose you ask a question, is it cold in Hyderabad? I will say I am wearing a sweater, I am feeling cold. But suppose you are coming from Delhi to Hyderabad, you will feel it's very hot. Right now in Delhi, I mean from Delhi to Hyderabad, December in Hyderabad is very hot compared to December in Delhi. Similarly, whatever reality which you perceive is just a relative reality purely concerning you only and nobody else. You see that, nobody else sees that. Everyone sees a different reality. No two individual souls, no two individual living beings see the same, exactly same reality, because they're all conditioned differently. Because, for example, a cat can see in darkness, you cannot see. Somebody else can sense something you cannot sense. Somebody speaks some language you cannot speak. So different conditionings result in different perceptions of reality. That's why I said all reality in quotes is a conditioning of the consciousness. Then second sentence is, the true nature of reality cannot be known or experienced unless and until all conditioning is eliminated. Obviously, it's a derivative of the first sentence. If all experience of reality is only a conditioning of the consciousness, then the true nature of the reality cannot be known or experienced unless and until all conditioning is eliminated. Obviously. The third sentence, who is this consciousness which is getting conditioned? Who am I? Consciousness means I. The question of who am I am so and so, I am not so and so, I am this, I am that, all again are conditioning. You are conditioned to identify yourself in a particular way, therefore you say I am so and so. Some other time you are conditioned particularly different way, then you say I am so and so, which is different from previous. In different states, in different dream state, deep sleep state, waking state, in different experiences. Like for example, if you eat ice cream, it will be very, very tasty and attractive. Then after some time, it will become boring. If you eat 10 ice creams at the same time, one after the other, you hate it. You don't love it. So the conditioning is changing everything about myself, whether I am happy, whether I am sorry, whether I am angry, whether I am greedy. So the true nature of the consciousness also cannot be known or experienced unless and until all conditioning is eliminated. This is the third sentence. And finally, the fourth sentence is, if and when, if at all conditioning can be eliminated, which is actually impossible, but at least it can be intuitively realized. So if at all conditioning is eliminated, then the true nature of the reality and the true nature of the consciousness have to merge into one, because there cannot be two. Two itself means there is a conditioning. Drashta, Drishya and Drishya, Viveka is there. So the merger of the reality and the consciousness will happen when conditioning is eliminated. So from these four sentences, you can derive Vedanta, you can derive yoga, you can derive bhakti, you can derive Buddhist thought, you can derive each one of the religious models. These are generic mathematical type of statements which I wrote down for myself at the end of one of my sessions of yoga and meditation about 40 years ago. So I concluded here. Now I open it for free discussion on the nature of the self, the relationship between self and God or Ishvara, and the nature of oneness, and these four sentences, nature of conditioning, which results in the differentiation between Jivatma and Paramatma. And if conditioning is, this is, in fact, if you derive Vedanta from these four sentences, conditioning is Maya, and reality is Brahman, and consciousness is Jiva. And if you want to derive yoga from it, conditioning is Chitta, the mind. And the reality is, which is Ishvara, and consciousness is the self. So this way you can derive all religious models out of the same four sentences. Thank you.
Ramdas here. So in a normal person, he doesn't know all these things. So he is in the normal state, whereas the Vedanta lessons tell that there is something beyond, which is imaginary, which is above the normal thought process. Now, let us assume that that is there. And one looks at the experiences that one gains over a period of time, maybe in this birth, the next birth, or previous birth. You are carrying those experiences. And therefore, at a given point of time, in the back of your mind or somewhere in the background, there are those experiences. Now, if a normal person does not know all those background. And if he knows, he becomes an abnormal person. If he knows his past and he talks about his past janma and past thing, he is an abnormal person because he normally we don't know that. So my question and doubt is that are we trying to reach a state of abnormality through this thought process, or is it that is the real one and we are trying to reach the abnormal position as the normal position? What is the, I'm little confused on this. By meditation, we are trying to elevate ourselves and trying to identify that scripture which is already there, or which is a part of the, whatever you explained about that. So which is above the raga, dvesha, etc., which is purity. So are you reaching that, which is an abnormality? Is it like that?
No. Your statements are quite untrue in the sense you made 2-3 different points and combined them. The first point is the past life impressions you are talking about. Now, actually, according to the scriptures, Hindu scriptures, or even Buddhist scriptures or Jain scriptures, the present life is an outcome of the past life automatically. It is like, it is like a promotion or a transfer or something. It will automatically mean it is based or it is a function of the past. So that's already there. Now you are born and you are grown up and you are in this life also you have gathered many impressions of relationships or attributes or feelings or identities which are all temporary and which are all false, therefore false. But you have been acquiring all those. But when you go to deep sleep, all of them are forgotten. So when you wake up in the morning and when you perform, say, some meditation or some or things and phenomena like COVID, for example, we are all created, a kind of an environment in which we are caught up. So it's not your true nature. It's not that you are not free from it. Like take the example of COVID, we are all caught up in a kind of a maya that you are this, you are that, you are going to die, otherwise you do this, all this, so-called COVID environment. It is neither permanent nor it is 100% true. So as time passes, it goes away. And gradually the truth is also coming out that much of it is a hoax. So in the same way, when you do the analysis, Viveka, the discrimination, and what kind of analysis on the nature, who am I? Non-yar, that's a question that Ramana Maharshi also asked in his childhood. Because, his brother asked me to go and die. So he said, all right, I'll die. He lied down like a corpse. He held his breath. Then he found that he's not dying. Then he asked a question to himself, who am I first? Why am I not dying? I'm lying down like a corpse and I stopped my breath. So that question, who am I, made him go to Tiruvannamalai mountain and meditate there for 6 years. And I also meditated at the same spot. And whatever special experience I had are the background for my talks like this. I give many such talks and teachings and my own practices. So the point is that when the mind stops completely and you are in yourself, that is the true nature of the self. Otherwise, you are going to sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamoguna combinations and their effects and the effects of karma and the effects of the environment and so on, all this. So the process of getting back to yourself from all this mess which is being created is called yoga. And the experience which you get is summarized in Vedanta. That is the real truth of the self, nature of the self. So both are feasible. Okay. Right. Next question.
Thank you, Ramdas sir, for asking the question, and Prabhu sir for the wonderful answers. If you want to answer on the chat box also, you can type your questions. I will take the question with Prabhu sir.
Yeah, please feel free. I know it is, I gave very heavy stuff. I told you in the beginning also. It is heavy, but it is worth going through. And it is a long-term process. It's not a one-shot solution. I've been into this for the last 60 years.
One more question I have.
Yes.
See, assuming that what you are telling is your true beliefs, actually you are actually a clean image of yours is there, whereas it gets blurred because of those influences and our attribute and so on and so forth. So from we are removing it, which is nothing but focusing ourselves into and making yourself clear. Now, the past in this birth only, whatever you remember, you carry forward. Those called
And you are in yourself a blissful state. This is one type of meditation. Okay. Now the second type of meditation is Soham meditation. That is, you observe your breath. The breath is going in deep, coming out deep, going in deep, coming out deep. Keep on observing. Of course, before observing breath, you may observe your thoughts also. Normally, if you say the afternoon or something, you will get a lot of thoughts. Say 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you'll be getting a lot of excitement in the mind. I have to go here, I have to do this man is doing that, all that kind of Rajoguna will be there. But during Sattva-guna time, if you are able to observe your thoughts, like what you are talking of negative depressions and so on and so forth, or even anger or greed or lust. In fact, when you observe your thoughts, gradually the thoughts will reduce. They will not become zero, but coolly they will become lesser and lesser. And if any thought is coming persistently, you observe that more intensely, and over a few days you will realize that that persistent thought is one of these 10 negative emotions. Ahankar, mamakar, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So when you realize, say, anger, for example, you keep on observing it every day, the anger will reduce on a particular person or a particular event. So gradually it will reduce, it will not become zero. So when it becomes adequately weak, you push it away and replace it with its opposite. The opposite of anger is love. The opposite of greed is charity. The opposite of hatred is love. So like this, the opposites are there. You know those opposites. You just replace the opposite on this negative emotion. So this will be neutralized. Positive and negative will become zero. So then you'll be free from all encumbrances. Like a child, mind will fly. So finally, when you observe your breath, you are taking deep breath, going out. So each inhalation, you think it is so, and each exhalation is hum. So hum. So hum. That means so means saha, that is he. Hum means aham, I. He and I. He and I. He means God or Ishvara or whatever version you have. You can call it any name you like. Krishna you can say, or anything you can say. I and he. So I and he, I and he, I and he. Finally, he and I, hamsa. So hamsa, so hamsa become one and the same, like Rama, Mara, Rama, both are same. So that way you will be able to overcome all the individual limitations and you will reach him. This is another type of meditation. So there are different types of meditation. You have to learn practically from a teacher. Next question.
So Prabhu sir, Jogesh here.
Yes.
If the conditions that we're experiencing today in our day-to-day life, can they change what I am? I mean, you have explained what I am, right? I mean, if I am part of the Paramahamsa or Paramatma, then the conditions that we're experiencing day to day, can they change truly what I am?
Yes, yes. I don't know what question if you are saying, you see, actually, you lost yourself. I told you that story of that man in the forest.
Right,
He refuses to accept that he is the king or prince. So you have lost yourself so much. Not only you, everyone. Not that I didn't lose, I was also lost. So everyone is lost so much that we refuse to accept our divine nature or spiritual nature. We say that we are Rakshasas, we are humans, we'll fight, we'll kill, we'll drink blood, or we'll do this, we'll do that. All that is absolute nonsense. It is just a delusion created by the gunas and the thoughts. Gunas means Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. I told you, I gave a lecture last time on the 14th chapter. The 14th chapter explains the gunas in detail. So these gunas are acting on you. Therefore, you get influenced and you lost your identity. In fact, Lord Krishna says the word Nibadhanti Mahabhav. You are bound by, you are caught up by these gunas in this body. And of course, the vasanas are there. What that guy did that day, and what you said to him, and what he said to you, what happened, the fight which happened, all those memories will come. You know, you open the TV, you'll find people are fighting on what happened 500 years ago, what happened 100 years ago, what happened 20 years ago, and all kinds of delusions are happening. So these are all kind of mental delusions which are ruling your mind and distracting you away from the true nature of yourself. The yoga process is opposite of it. You have to go on removing those things. That is called unconditioning. They have conditioned you so much, you have to continuously uncondition and come to your true pure nature, which is infinite, eternal, Satchidananda bliss.
Right. So basically, sorry to continue that. So basically, the conditions are changing my state in this world, but will they take, or can these conditions take effect in the eternal form that I am? So
No, that's the point. You see, the word condition is conditioning actually. Conditioning is like, influencing, or, like if you know, electrical engineering, if there's a field, then if you put an iron piece there, it gets affected by the field, electromagnetic field, it turns. So that effect is there. You are affected by the environmental conditioning. So, or the memory conditioning, or the vasanas conditioning, or the karmas conditioning, or the other, human relations conditioning. So we have to, if you can reduce that conditioning gradually in meditation, and pranayama is very critical requirement, because pranayama will make the mind calm. Otherwise, mind cannot become calm. And after the mind becomes calm, the meditation will work. The mind can be totally stopped at the end of the day. So unless and until the mind is totally stopped, you cannot experience your true nature, which is pure consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu sir and Jogesh. So is anybody having any more questions?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
In Lalita Sahasranamam, they say Antarmukha Samarajya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. What can you explain that?
Yes.
In this context?
Yes. In fact, what all I talked till now is only that only. That is the nature of the Lalita, or the Shakti or Prakriti, or finally it is Brahman only, Parabrahman only, cannot be experienced if you are extrovert. You are lost into the outside world. So unless you go into yourself, this is what I talked the whole lecture. How to go into yourself. So how to go into yourself is Antarmukha Samaradhana. So when you go into yourself, that is the whole system of yoga. The yoga darshana is only completely on that. So pratyahara is withdrawing from the external sensory perceptions and going into yourself. So after that is pratyahara is after pranayama. Otherwise, pratyahara is not going to happen by itself. Then after pratyahara is dharana and dhyana and samadhi. Samadhi is self realization or oneness with the self, supreme self. So that's what that sentence means. Antarmukha samaradhya bahirmukha suduri. It's impossible to be reached if you are going into the external world. You are lost in it, which is because of rajoguna and tamoguna. We know how we are running around everything, and we cannot expect to get any enlightenment or self-realization in such conditioning of extrovertial running around. So that's what it means. You have to have antarmukhatva or introversial. In fact, dharma is of two types: the pravritti lakshana dharma and nivritti lakshana dharma. Nivritti lakshana dharma. The external action is. So I want to clarify one more point which I missed.
Oh God.
Please mute your mic. I want to clarify one more point which I missed out in my talk. So when you are in the outside world, of course, the next question could be that I would ask that question myself. What if you are in bahirmukhatva, external world, and you going to remain in a hopeless condition of miserable state of existence, or is there any way to handle that situation also? And that is called karma yoga. So that is, based on dharma. So that is, you see, when you are in the external world, you are influenced by the external factors through your senses and through your mind and through your intellect and through your emotions. And you are doing some work. Nobody can sit and meditate all time, 24 hours. So you have to do some work. While you are doing some work, what should be the guideline? That's the question. And the first guideline is dharma. So pravritti lakshana dharma is dharma for extroversial bahirmukhatva behavior. And nivritti lakshana dharma is the prescription for antarmukha journey. So following dharma is the best solution for all extroversial activities, also in addition to introversial activities. What is dharma? How it can be followed is a separate chapter. I'll give a separate lecture if you want, some other time. Now, while doing the activities externally as per the requirements of dharma, when you do that karma, which is your own action, if you are detached from the result of that karma, that is called karma yoga. Not detached from the karma itself. That means you don't stop doing things. You keep doing things because you cannot stop. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita is very clear. Nobody can stay even 1 second without doing anything. The forces of nature will make you forcefully do things. You will be breathing, you will be drinking water, you will be eating food, you will be watching, listening, all senses, all indriyas will be functioning, and you will be doing so many activities. You may do, your job, you may do research, or you may do management, or you may do legal practice, or you may do medical practice. So when you do all these things, how you can remain unaffected is a quick question. So the problem is getting affected, not doing. If you can do it, you can do it. So tyaktva karma phala sangam nityatrupto nirashrayah karmanyabhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. A man who is performing all actions, but he is not obsessed with its result. He is performing all actions perfectly, successfully, but with detachment to the result. Then he is not doing anything. He is as good as not doing anything because he is not affected.
Thank you, Prabhu sir. I have a question from chat box by Pankaj has asked, where does I self actually exist? Hello.
So of course, there are statements like you exist in the heart, and that heart is described in Bhagavad Gita also and in the Vedas also. This question is also asked to me by someone else previously. The sense the heart is Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hruddeshe Pardhatishtati.
5 days.
Ramayan Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhani Maya. The Lord lives in the heart of all beings and drives them like a robot. So the spark of intelligence or the spark of Satchidananda, which is there in every individual jiva, is nothing but the Lord. So that's what Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhutanya Vasthita. So Krishna said, I am the self of all. Yes, what is the question again? Yes, is it answered?
I guess so. It is answered because Pankaj has no more response to that. So,
Yeah, but he exists. Yeah, okay.
he exists. And this also brings me to René Descartes' cogito ergo sum. He said cogito ergo sum, which means I think, therefore I am. Something similar to that is what you have said.
No, I'm saying something more. Not just because I think I am. I am first. I should be there to think.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Prabhuji.
Yes.
See, can it be related to Aham Brahmasmi?
It is one and the same. I told you just now. But then you see, if you say simply Aham Brahmasmi, it will amount to a false statement. You should have realization. See, it is like saying, if any citizen of India above 35 years can become president of India. So all citizens of India are potentially presidents of India. But are they really president of India? So unless you reach that, you cannot say it. You can say it in principle.
Nothing, sir. Very good session and very good question.
Thank you. I'm Sriram Prasad here. You have given a very good example. I will follow it. Very nice. Very nice. Everybody cannot become president. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Sudhakar, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sir. No question, but very good session. Thoroughly enjoyed. Good questions also. Very good session overall. That's all.
Hello guys, please switch on your video that we can take some screenshots of the participants' faces. And also there is one question in the chat box, last question.
Yes.
For Prabhu sir.
Yes.
From Raghavendra Chillarige.
Yes.
The question is, if I am God or created by God, why am I not controlled to derive for I was created?
I didn't understand. Okay, is there some grammatical error or what? Just read it out again.
I just read out the question.
Read it again. Yeah.
So the question is, if I am God or created by God,
yeah,
why am I not controlled to derive for I was created? Something like that. Grammatical.
He can himself explain what is the question. I think he's there. Yeah. Can you please explain your question?
If I am created by the God, or if I am God,
yes,
I am there in this environment for doing certain things initially, but over the time, over this materialistic and other travel, we are behaving differently. We are behaving very odd manner. Sometimes we will be as crook as also, though we don't want to be. So why this type of conflicting situations and scenarios are getting created, and why these are not controlled by the controlling system, which is the divine?
Okay, good question. This question has been answered in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. The answer to this question is, when you are created, please mute your mics. When you are created, that means when the creation started, the whole universe, say some 2 billion years ago, the whole creation was created. And then gradual evolution took place of each individual soul. So today you are in this present condition. And it will continue also until the end of the day, end of the Brahma's day, after which it will withdraw. So this evolution process is a continuous process until you reach the goal. In the creation process, I think it's too noisy. I have to stop talking.
Amit, Amit, can you please mute your mic? Amit Gupta. Can you
Sorry,
please
sorry,
mute your
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, in the creation process, the evolution continuously takes place, and the forces of nature, Prakriti, are acting on you. Like he has made it very clear. Of course, we want a full-fledged answer. You have to read the entire Bhagavad Gita to understand that answer. I can explain to you any number of hours. So what he says is, in this universe, which is created under my supervision, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, moving and unmoving beings are all created by nature under my supervision. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. This universe runs by the laws of nature. Prakrite Kriyamana Gunai Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimodhatma Karta Ahamiti Manyate. A fellow who is foolish enough to be arrogant thinks that he himself is doing everything, whereas the forces of nature are making him to do things. The forces of nature include the gunas. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapajante Maya Metam Tarantite. It is impossible to transcend these gunas and the other parts of forces of nature. The gunas like Rajoguna is the cause of anger, greed, lust, all these kind of behaviors. So the Rajoguna and Tamoguna are the cause of the demonical or asuri behavior in the universe which you see. So the Sattva Guna is a higher order level. It is covered in detail in the Gita. I have been giving Gita lectures in another forum. So when you are into Sattva Guna, you will not be having those Rajoguna and Tamoguna effects on you. So you have to put all your efforts in trying to become sattvic in your life, in terms of food, in terms of activities, in terms of thought process, in terms of discipline, in terms of relationships, in terms of meditation, in there are more humans due to population growth, then the answer is there are less plants and animals due to destruction of nature. So total must be same.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu sir. So on the closing note, your talk is very enlightening, and on behalf of the Hyderabad chapter, we want to thank you for opening us to the topic of self-realization, and I'm sure the participants have enjoyed the topic. So the Prabhu sir's talk will be on every second Saturday of every month. His talks will be intertwined on the ancient philosophy and the modern science. So the next talk will be on 9th January. I have pasted my phone number and Praveen's phone number. So if you want to be added to the Prabhu sir's talk group, we will add you to the group.
All right. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye.
Thank you, Prabhu Garu.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nenu Sriram Prasad.